A one-time 100 ringgit cash handout, almost 3% reduction of RON 95 petrol's price, one additional public holiday on the 15th September this year, a delay in highway toll price hike for 10 major highways, and a 300 million ringgit expansion for the Jualan Rahmah MADANI program. These are the latest announcements from our PM Anwar, aimed at addressing Malaysia's rising cost of living, which are estimated to benefit 22 million Malaysians. And while some skeptics would argue that these are emergency handouts from the current government just 3 days before the imminent protest on the 26th July, attended by nearly 20,000 people allegedly, some of us are left wondering whether these handouts are really useful or simply political gimmicks to please the public. Let's dive into the details. We'll start with the header of it all, a 100 ringgit one-off cash handout for all Malaysians aged 18 years old and above, distributed on an individual basis via MyCard. And this amount can be used from 31st August to 31st December this year to purchase essentials at over 4,100 outlets nationwide. And that includes major supermarkets such as Mydin, Lotus, Econsafe, 99 Speedmart, and other participating grocers. And before you ask, premium grocers like Jaya and also village grocers are not eligible. So clearly, it's meant for you to spend on the cheaper daily essentials. Now, obviously, I'm not gonna complain about the amount like a spoiled brat. Hopefully the same goes to you watching this, because 200 ringgit, husband plus wife, for lower income households can indeed cover basic groceries for about a week or two. And a short-term relief like this one for them will always be welcome. But compared to the cash handouts from the previous PMs, this 100 ringgit amount pales in comparison. Although it's the first one to actually be given to all Malaysian adults, which in itself is a problem, because even the rich will be eligible for it, and that directly dilutes its impact per ringgit spent. And stimulus like these are supposed to benefit the lower income group to help close the income gap between the rich and the poor within the country. But obviously, this was probably left out. From an economic standpoint, injecting 2.2 billion ringgit, or about 0.1% of our GDP, into the hands of 22 million adult Malaysians, albeit a small amount, can temporarily boost spending in the retail sector, especially among the B40 and M40 groups who are, let's be honest, more likely to spend all of it within the period. And unlike the previous BRIM and also Prihatin cash handouts, which were associated with broader reforms and also economic shocks from GST implementation and also the COVID pandemic, I can't help but question the motivation and timing of this SARA payout right before a massive protest and right before a major fiscal reform. I mean, you can't blame me, right? Comment down below if you share the same thought. But regardless, if you have disposable income to spare, instead of saving for a mere 0.1% interest, why not invest in the US market to make it grow? All you need to start is just $5. Yes, this is made possible with Moomoo, a SC Malaysia regulated and licensed platform that supports fractional shares trading as well as local and international stocks trading at a super low cost, suitable for all beginners and veterans as well. And with this feature, you can get a share of these tech giants like Nvidia, Apple, and Microsoft all at once with just 100 ringgit. Because gone are the days where you have to own one full share of the stock. And to start practicing dollar cost averaging, DCA, you can now set automatic recurring investments via their regular savings plan RSP feature. And on top of all of this, you can also invest your money in their Moomoo Cash Plus, a money market fund that earns you around 5% per annum in the first 30 days. And oh, I really like their news feature too, where it offers great insights and breaks down news for you. Like in the case of this surprise announcement by the PM, they also analyze how these policies and subsidies can affect different stocks in the market. So feel free to deposit with my exclusive code Z11, that's Z11, to get an extra 40 ringgit worth of Apple shares, on top of their welcome rewards worth up to 1,800 ringgit while the campaign lasts. And yes, there are terms and conditions applied, but trust me, it is nothing complicated and you wouldn't want to miss out on this one. Now, moving on, the price of RON 95 petrol is set to decrease from 2 ringgit 5 cents per litre to 1 ringgit 99 cents per litre, specifically for Malaysian citizens once the fuel subsidy mechanism is rolled out by the end of September this year. On paper, this is nearly a 3% decrease, and also the first time the government has adjusted the fuel subsidy since February 2021. And at first glance, you might ask, huh? That's it? Just 6 cents? But this is where perspective matters, right? Sure, a 3% savings might feel insignificant for the average driver, but think about businesses that are heavily reliant on logistics like Shopee, Grab, Lalamove riders, where petrol is a daily substantial expense. For them, even small savings compound quickly. You see, most motorcycles fuel tanks hold anywhere between 3 to 10 liters of petrol, depending on the model. So let's say a rider uses say 10 liters of RON 95 per day. At 2 ringgit 5 cents per liter, that's about 20 ringgit and 50 cents daily. Now, with a new price, it drops to 19 ringgit and 90 cents, a saving of 60 cents per day. Peanuts, right? But if you multiply that by 30 days, that's 18 ringgit per month of savings. Refilling twice a day, that becomes 36 ringgit a month, which could help relieve a day or two of meals and groceries. And when you scale it across a few hundred thousands of riders, the savings could add up to millions in total fuel costs. But here's the catch: implementation. How exactly will they verify the subsidy eligibility? Former Economy Minister YB Rafizi Ramli previously said that MyCard scanning at petrol pumps could be used for real-time verification, and the eligibility will be based on criteria such as income, household size, and location, instead of just solely gross income. Fair enough. But then again, what's feeding the back-end data for our declared income? Our LGN records might be the best database for that, but it also comes with significant lagging issues because income may change rapidly for the targeted group, especially the gig workers. Their declared income today might not reflect their financial situation tomorrow. And as of now, these crucial details remain unclear. I guess we can only wait until the full details are rolled out. Now, another good news for drivers is the freezing on the toll hikes on 10 major highways, and this is a much welcome relief, especially for the estimated 941,000 daily commuters for both the low and middle class who would have otherwise paid more just to get to work. So let's say the usual toll route is expected to increase by 50 cents per trip. That will be about 1 ringgit daily for a round trip, and over 22 working days, it will easily add up to 22 ringgit per month. Not to mention routes with higher tolls like some stretches of Dash or Plus Highway, the savings could be 30 to 50 ringgit monthly, which could be enough to cover a few meals or basic groceries for most people. But that leads me to this question: who is gonna pay for the previously agreed toll hike? Obviously, it is the government, because businesses are not gonna absorb the cost for you, and because of this, it costs the government around 500 million ringgit to compensate these affected businesses to ensure well-maintained highway operations for all of us. Also, I realized that more than 80% of you watching this video are not subscribed to this channel yet. Making these videos takes a lot of effort and time, so if you enjoy these timely economic updates and summaries, you will help my team and I a lot by just clicking the subscribe button down below. We promise to deliver more and better research videos for you in the future. An additional public holiday has also been scheduled for September 15, 2025, creating a long weekend for Malaysia Day this year. Yes, this is applied nationwide, but does not represent a permanent change to the public holiday calendar. Though whether they make it permanent or not, Malaysia already has one of the highest number of public holidays among Asian countries. And before you say that I'm salty as an employer, I totally get it. An extra public holiday might seem harmless or even positive for employee morale. I'm all for that. But the reality is that unexpected policy changes like last-minute public holiday announcements or subsidy uncertainty can affect business production and hence influence investor decisions and perceptions of business stability in our country. Our neighbor, Singapore, has a highly predictable and limited number of public holidays, only 11 days annually. And this predictability, alongside policy consistencies, would then proceed to attract global investors, which explains why Singapore is renowned for being one of the easiest countries in the world for doing business, with Malaysia down at number 12. And yes, I may be oversimplifying all of this. Malaysia's reputation for sudden policy shifts such as unexpected public holidays and uncertainty on subsidy revisions might have contributed to the loss of potentially billions of foreign direct investments. Let me quote the Secretary General of the SME Association of Malaysia. Nationwide, businesses suffer an estimated 2 to 3 billion ringgit in losses every time a last-minute public holiday is declared. FYI, 2 billion ringgit is about 0.1% of our current GDP. Fruit for your thoughts. But of course, the other side of the coin is, long weekends like this would usually encourage domestic tourism, boosting local economies as Malaysians spend on travel, shopping and also leisure. And last but not least in this package is Jualan Rahmah MADANI, launched in 2023 by KPDN. This initiative is essentially a low-cost grocery sales drive specifically targeted at the B40 households, aiming to ease their financial burdens with affordable daily essentials. Initially, it was a modest-scale program offering basic goods like cooking oil, rice, eggs, sugar, and hygiene products at 10 to 30% below market price, held occasionally in selected urban and rural areas, mostly on weekends or tied to festive seasons. And it is said that this Jualan Rahmah has benefited more than 5 million consumers in Malaysia. And now, with the latest revision, the government is doubling the allocation from 300 million to 600 million ringgit and expanding its coverage as well, so more Malaysians are expected to benefit from it. And hey, some families have also reported monthly savings of 50 to 100 ringgit on essentials through this program, so that clearly shows that the program is doing its job, and honestly, I'm all for that. Now, the plus side to all of this is the money spent by the government goes in a loop. Economy 101, right? Malaysians receive the money, more spendings are made, businesses make more money and pay more corporate income tax, eventually contributing to the country's GDP and boosting the overall economy. From my point of view, while the intention to help the lower income households is commendable, I think the way this stimulus package is designed is very poorly done. We need a better targeted subsidy reform to manage our national debt sustainably. You see, post-pandemic, Malaysia's debt to GDP sustained at a level above 60%, partly due to more aggressive borrowing due to pandemic stimulus packages plus economic recovery efforts. And yes, the current ratio stands around 64.6%, still slightly below the Southeast Asian average of 67.1%. But we are relatively high compared to developing nations like Thailand at 56%, Indonesia at 39% and Vietnam at 33% only. And based on BNM's estimates, Malaysia's GDP growth for 2025 is likely to be in the range of 4 to 4.8% range, lower than their previous forecast of 4.5 to 5.5% and also lower than the 2024's actual growth of 5.1%, no thanks to slower consumer demand plus tariff uncertainties. So these will raise questions about our fiscal sustainability, especially if our GDP growth does not accelerate enough to justify increased borrowing. And prolonged maintenance at this level could mean lesser fiscal flexibility for the upcoming budget 2026 tabling around October this year, which may limit the government's capacity to respond to future economic crises or invest in healthcare, education, infrastructure and development projects. The most notable one, the KL to Singapore high-speed rail that could cost around 100 billion ringgit. Yeah, you can expect these mega projects to be one of the first to be delayed or even axed if budget is a constraint. And also, another personal opinion, revealing the teaser for this stimulus package like a cinematic trailer just a week before the actual announcement seems inappropriate and too much of a marketing stunt for a government to pull off. This is a nation's government we are talking about, so everything should be well planned out and executed way ahead of time. In an ideal world, of course, notwithstanding any political and public pressures which we laymen will never be able to fully comprehend. And let's not forget, we recently had a SST expansion and a revision of the TNB tariff scheme, both of which added inflationary pressure on our cost of living. I've covered them in separate videos, so feel free to click over here. And this stimulus package would barely scratch the surface of that inflation pressure. That is, if it is designed for that and not for any other purpose.